All right, and we're started. So today is September 21st. Welcome back, everybody, or I guess welcome us back. We haven't really been here for a while. We were in Mexico for the past week, and so
Oh, cool.
great news. I'm sure everybody knows. Anna and I are now engaged.
Oh,
Um,
congratulations. That's great.
Thank you
Thanks.
so much. Um, so yeah, so we're happy. We're happy the business has been going good. I think today is the last day of no, tomorrow is the last day of summer. So we are now gearing in to the winter time.
Fall.
Fall, sorry. Fall, and then from fall, I'm skipping seasons. But anyways, well, with fall comes falling leaves, falling trees. The sun starts to set a little bit earlier, and then people are gearing up for the holidays. So I just want to re-emphasize, guys. Just keep pushing. Call your past clients. Call your old leads. Call everybody now. Start setting appointments as much as you can. Just because once the sun starts to set around 5 or 6 o'clock, people are really starting to hunker down. Um,
Homebodies.
Homebodies, people aren't wanting to go see homes as much or sell their homes as much. They really just want to be cozy in their homes because the weather's changing. I mean, this is typically when we start to see our slow months. So, really, right now, I would really want to push you guys to make those calls, reconnect with all of your friends and family. Say, hey, winter's coming, and I really need to, get another deal in the pipeline. And more than not, people are happy to help you and say, I'll keep your name out, give me some cards, whatever the case may be. Just really push that marketing and push that business a little harder right now within the next month or so, just because the slow season is typically coming. I know lately, the past couple years, our slow season really hasn't felt like a slow season. But with this year just kind of being as crazy as it is, elections coming up, a lot of people are just kind of a little weary. So keep giving people confidence, keep touching base with them, and really try to build your pipeline to make it through till January when people are starting to kind of reopen and redo things. Um, so that's a quick little tidbit. Second thing is really what do we want to say? Oh, the next mixer. So we have set a new date for the mixer. The next one coming up will be October 23rd. It is a Friday. Seems like a lot of people really enjoyed the last one on a Friday. You get to stay up a little later and just kind of hang out. It was a really, really great time. I want to thank everybody who came out last time. Had a great time, and I hope more people could come this time. We will do the same. I might change up the menu a little bit this time, but we'll see what happens. Um, and then really, I want to get into the meat and potatoes. So along with that business, right? Pushing and calling your leads and going forth and finding new business and pipeline business is smart locator. I want to talk about apartment locating. And it is a service that you as a realtor can provide and get paid for. And we also do provide the software for it, which is called Smart Locator or Smart Data or Smart Apartment Data. And what that does is it's pretty much the MLS of apartment complexes. So apartment complexes, depending on if you are an in-person or just a referral, if you actually go and take your client there, more than likely they pay you 100% of the first month's rent. So if you're finding a renter that's pretty typically looking for a $1,200 apartment, you make $1,200 and you don't have to do anything. You really just set up the appointment, you go there, you take them, and then the sales representative or the leasing agent does the rest. You literally just walk the property, learn about the property, and you don't do anything. So you really just show up and get it done. It does take a little bit longer to get paid. They really want to make sure that those tenants stay there for at least 2 to 3 months before sending out the commission. So it does take a little bit of time to get that money back. But if you can have 2 or 3 or 4 in the pipeline, then they just kind of keep rolling in and creating that steady extra income flow. It is a really, really good idea to have multiple sources of income, guys. I know we're all entrepreneurs. We're all, treating this as our own, entrepreneurial business, right, guys? So having those multiple steady streams of income is really, really important. So do the residentials, do the apartments, and do whatever else. I mean, if y'all need investment help, obviously, we're here to help you as well. So just trying to find multiple ways to make money, right? And do what you love to do. So really, utilize that. We have it, we pay for it, and make it a good resource. People get paid a lot of money. Some people just do apartment locating, and that's all they do, and they make great money. So really, the best way to go about it is social media, right? Everybody has social media. It's the easiest way. Create a small little flyer and ad that says free apartment locating, because it is free for the consumer. The apartments pay you just like if you were a buyer's agent. So it is free, because let everybody know. Post on Craigslist. I know a lot of people that do. Facebook, Instagram, Marketplace on Facebook, anywhere that you can get in front of people to provide a service, free apartment locating, and you'd be surprised. Majority of the time, if people need help finding an apartment, there may be some issues, but some good baseline qualifications are: do you have any late payment history? Do you have an abandoned lease on your record? Kind of certain things like that that may prevent them from looking. And then in Smart Locator, there are sections in there that you can put in. Okay, they have a broken lease. What apartment complexes will accept a broken lease? They have some issues. What happens, so there's really criteria to kind of fit everybody's needs. So really just getting that. Two, is income, right? Do they have enough income? Typically apartments or rental properties want to see at least 2 to 3 times the amount of income for their rent. So if their rent is $1,200, they want to see $3,600 coming in every month, to make sure that they're at least 33%, a third of their money can be sent to rent, and they're not having to struggle, maybe look at late payments. But it's different with every apartment complex. So make those phone calls, get in touch with them, say, hey, I have this person, these are the qualifications, and do y'all take these people or not? Sometimes it's not always on the MLS, just like everything for us isn't always on the MLS as residential buyers. But making a quick phone call always helps. And then also cash for down payment, or cash for deposits. Making sure they have enough, right? Typically, it's the 1 month's rent for deposit, as well as the first month's rent, and sometimes they maybe even ask for last month's rent as well. Did you have something to say?
Yeah, and also if it's a good opportunity to possibly turn those clients into buyers, because if they have, oh wait, go ahead.
Read
Yeah,
my mind. No, easy.
because if they have the amount of, it's
Yeah.
renters typically pay just as much to get into an apartment as they do to, for a down payment for a home. It's multiple thousands of dollars, and typically the qualifications are fairly similar. Kind of, but it's worth trying to
Yeah.
convert them into a buyer as well.
Definitely.
So,
And they also look at credit, right? So your credit history for apartments. So that was going to be the next thing I was going to roll into, but Anna read my mind, as she does. And so, yeah, so that's the second thing. If people are looking for a new apartment, they need a place to live. So really, let's try and convert those people. Hey, I understand you're looking at an apartment, but why? Well, I don't want to cut a yard, I don't want this. Well, have you ever looked at a condo? You don't have to pay a yard, you don't have to cut nothing. Or let me tell you about the benefits of buying, because the amount of money you're spending on rent is pretty close to what you may be able to spend on a house. Plus you own it, you're paying your own mortgage, you're not paying somebody else's mortgage. And if you have enough money to put down first month's rent as deposit, first month's rent, and maybe even the last month's rent, as some places require, you may have enough to buy a house, right? You may have enough, that 3.5%, which really isn't. If you have $5,000 in the bank, you can probably buy a house. We can try and find a house that can cover your closing costs. So it's really possible. So let's get those, make some ads, free apartment locating, because it's less daunting, right? Everybody needs a place to live, and when people look for apartments, they understand. But when you say, oh, house, then they kind of get a little weary, and they really don't want to click and move forward with that. But if it's an apartment, hey, it's a little bit easier to grasp, a little bit easier to palate, and we can start the conversations from there. So that's kind of a good little tidbit. I really want to emphasize the Smart Locator. It is a great platform. You can make good money on just apartments if you wanted.
it's easy to use.
And it's easy, very, very easy to use. So take a look at that, guys. I really, really advise and want y'all to continue pushing forward for these next coming cold months. And the second thing, the other side of meat and potatoes for this meeting and what was on the email is MUDs. So municipal utility districts. It's covered on your contracts, in your 1-4s. People will wonder what they are. And I had an agent, Miss Sherry, come across one this past weekend. So she is actually purchasing a lot for herself to build a house on, and she realized after she got under contract that the house is in a mud. So one, as a seller, you need to make sure that you disclose that information before going into a contract. So that is grounds to be able to back out if you were not aware that it was in a mud district and then you become aware after the fact. So just please be aware. And the way to find out if you are in a mud district, and they call it mud, MUD, municipal utility district, is on your taxes, your property tax report, or your property taxes. If you look them up on whatever county appraisal district you're in, it will have a municipality utility district tax. And what a mud is, it's pretty much, so you have like the city of San Antonio, right? You pay a city of San Antonio tax because you have CPS, you have SAW, you have these utilities that run through the city that give you your water and sewer, your trash, your all this stuff. So more so in a rural areas, you'll find them in outside of cities, like outside of like Medina County or North Fisher, Texas, Spring Branch sometimes, more in those rural areas where you don't have those large city utilities. Otherwise, you're having to dig a well, have a septic tank, and those are how you get your utilities. But if you have a more of a planned community or a planned um, city, kind of wanting to move in that direction, that's what that is. So it's pretty much like you're going to be paying a city tax, so that you can have those utilities provided to you. They're not a huge deal. They are governed by a board of directors that has to deal with all of those things, but they're not necessarily a crazy thing. It just means that that's a small enough city or a small enough town, and they're looking for progression. They're looking to grow, and they're needing to be able to pay for these utilities to come into this area, so they are dispersing it along by the from the residents. Just like any city would, Austin, San Antonio, Houston, Dallas. You pay a city tax for those utilities to be placed and to be able to use those things. So that's what a MUD is. So when the developers come in to create, a subdivision or anything, they take out bonds. They sell bonds, or no, they buy bonds to be able to get the funding to be able to get the work done, right? And then with those, they pass on that bill onto the consumers, onto the residences. And typically it's a voted thing, right? The residences in that area want those utilities. They want a better quality of life versus having to rely on your wells, your septics, all this stuff. So they want to pay for that infrastructure to come into the city. So it just means that these districts are set up so that this area can grow and become a city, and maybe be annexed at a later portion in time. So that's another thing. So if you are on a cusp of an ETJ, right? So let's say Medina County and San Antonio, where there's a thin line that we keep encroaching more and more. So if you are in a MUD or a municipal utility district, and the city wants to annex that town, the city will then pay for that tax and then accrue you in, and then you'll start having to pay a city tax. So it's pretty much almost the same thing as your city municipal tax for those utility costs. So I know a lot of people are like, what is this? I don't want to pay a tax, blah, 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 blah. But if you go into a main city, or you go into anywhere else, you're more than likely going to have to pay a tax anyway. So it's not a huge deal. And sometimes those have already been paid off, depending. So really get with your title company, get with, see if you can find the local board that manages that MUD, and get as much information as possible. How much are they going to be? And if they are still there, what is, and they even may be paid off already.
How do you know if you're in a mud?
So from the beginning of the section, you will find that out in your taxes. So if you go to the appraisal district of whatever your property is, look at the taxes, there will be a line item that says municipal utility district, typically, just like you have a city of San Antonio tax, or a city of San Antonio or utility tax, or something along those lines. So they're really not a huge deal. They are also tax deductible. So if you do have to pay those taxes, just like certain taxes that you normally pay within the city, they are tax deductible. So you can get a write-off for those, which is another cool thing.
Do they decrease?
They do decrease. So as the balance of the bond or of the bill or debt, whatever you want to call it, goes down, your bill for those taxes will also go down until it is completely paid off, and then you may not have to pay that anymore until the city or the place wants to grow even more, and then but that's
until they try to get more money.
until they try to get. But that's with any city, right? The city of San Antonio approves a mega highway or whatever, and then the city has to pay for it. I mean, we get taxed. That's what taxes do. They improve the city. They improve your quality of life, and we kind of have to pay them. So if you want that pothole to get fixed, you have to pay your taxes. So, and that was pretty much it. Did you have anything else you wanted to?
Oh, quarterly MLS dues
Oh, yes.
are due on October 1st. I think the total is
158.
158. Yes, they're 158. You can pay them online. There's a portal through MLS, but I'll send out a link. Just make sure you pay those before or on October 1st, because I think that next day they'll hit you with like a $40 late fee, which is just crazy. There's also, when you go to pay those dues, they automatically tag on a $40 donation to TrayPack. But you can uncheck that. You have to physically go in and click a little button that says
Proceed.
I do not want to. There's a checkbox. Just uncheck it, and it'll take off that $40. Otherwise, you'll be paying the $198 when really your MLS dues are only $158. So I'll send out the link for y'all to pay all those. Just make sure they're done by October 1st if you can. If you need help with those, just let us know too. So just want to remind you all about that.
Yeah.
But,
And well, thank you guys. We are super excited to be back. I know we have a lot of life changes as well, and we want to really hit the ground running. So we have a lot of things that we're just working on from previous calls that we talked about. We're still working on those postcards for you guys, so we can shoot them out for listings, as well as a couple other things we have in the works. So stay tuned. We'll keep you all updated. And for any other questions, feel free to reach out to me or Anna at any time. Other than that, hopefully we get to see you guys on the 23rd of October, and we'll keep reminding you all about that as well. Other than that, does anybody have any questions?
No. That's great.
Okay. Well, sounds great, guys. We will see you guys next week, and I will touch base with you all at least a couple of times later on this week.
Okay. Thank you and congratulations again. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.